Instead of conflict and aggression, here's governance built on grace. Welcome to Gracearchy with Jim Babka.
It has been a while since we have put out a new episode, but we have come back with a bang. We've got two great guests tonight that I've been wanting to introduce you to for a while. The reason for the delay or me being out, we've had some health issues to deal with. We're taking care of those. And I'm going to be at the Libertarian Party National Convention. That's the plan with these two gentlemen that are joining us today. And we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the Libertarian Party, because if you recognize these faces, you know that they are the current and soon to be outgoing, I don't know why, chair and vice chair of the Libertarian National Committee. Stephen Nekhaila, the chair, Paul Darr. Welcome, gentlemen. Thanks for being here on Gracearchy with us.
Thank you so much for having us on.
Thank you.
Yeah, glad you're here.
I want to start in a weird place, Paul. How did we meet? And what happened?
Well, it was that literally my first week of being the vice chair.
I think you said it was your sixth day.
Sixth day, yes. So sixth day of that whole whirlwind happening. I'd planned to go to the Students for Liberty convention there, conference, and we happened to just sit across from each other at dinner time there, and a great conversation. And I hadn't known. I'd heard I knew your name. I hadn't seen your face before. So, and then I was like, oh wait, Advocates for Self-Government, and talking about your experience back there with that. When I first came into the party, my first introduction to libertarianism was running into the Advocates for Self-Government on the internet in the late 90s. You guys were very early on there and had a lot of great information, a great newsletter, and that was a great thing at the time. And I ran across the quiz, and it's one of the best pieces of libertarian propaganda that has ever existed, because it is great for pointing out to people how they're really libertarians. So we got to talk a lot that evening, and you drilled into me pretty intensely at times there on some of the different things that were going on, and made me really think about what was happening there. But it was kind of a chance, and I was very happy to be able to run into you and talk about some of the things at that time.
So, Bill, I meet Paul and I come home and I say, well, I met a nice guy and he's got himself into the position. It's going to be a bit rough. And then Paul contacts me and says that these two gentlemen want to talk. And we get to talking, and we're going to get into some of that tonight. But I want to get to know each of you individually. So, Stephen, tell me who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. My name is Stephen Nekhaila. I'm the chairman of the Libertarian National Committee. Been a member of the Libertarian National Committee now for over 10 years as a board member. 2016 was my first spot as Region 2 alternate, so it feels like a lifetime ago. I got involved in the party at Paul Fest in Tampa in 2014, I want to say. It was, 2014 it would have been. I was going to vote for, I think it was Ron Paul was running in 2016. Is that right? Or 2014?
12 maybe.
So yeah. It was 20. So I might have gotten it might have been a little bit. Whenever Paul Fest was, I discovered Gary Johnson and brought me into the Libertarian Party, because back in the day in Tampa, there was the Republican National Convention was going on, and they spent something like $1 billion on security. The whole city was on lockdown. And it was pretty interesting. Then I go meet Gary Johnson. Here he is out in the middle of the audience. There's media around him. There's people around him, no bodyguards. And he had a very simple platform that I agreed with. I knew at the time I was an individualist. I hadn't heard the term libertarian yet until then. So I was a big fan of The Creature from Jekyll Island by J. Edward Griffin. He wrote a couple of articles and essays on individualism versus collectivism. And so I got into that, got involved with Young Americans for Liberty at FIU. And, one thing led to another. I changed my voter registration to Libertarian. And a now really good friend of mine down in the Florida Keys, Mike Kane, he calls me and says, hey, we're interested in starting a new affiliate down here in the Florida Keys. Would you be interested in getting involved? I said, sure, I'll call you in 9 months. So after college, I called him We started the Libertarian Party of Florida Keys affiliate over a decade ago, and got involved with the Libertarian Party of Florida. Shortly after that, I became chair in 2019, served for 2 terms, and just really held this philosophy near and dear to my heart. So that's what I do for the party. In my professional life, I'm a Wendy's franchisee. We've got 12 going on 13 Wendy's locations, the Island Grill in Isla Morada, Dairy Queen, and a cinema. So, excuse me, more than enough to keep me very busy. But this is one of the things I really enjoy doing, is trying to do what I can for the cause.
And Paul, tell me your version of that same story.
Well, so I was weird as a kid. So I ran across the Advocates when I was in high school there. And so I registered right out of the gate as a libertarian. But I was growing up in foster care at the time. So I was in pretty poor. And even though I was a libertarian, I did what many people that are poor do. And I went and joined the Army, getting out of foster care there. And that was pre 9/11. And so right after 9/11, the world changed as far as military experience there. And I've had the experience of both going to Iraq and Afghanistan in the Army, which, as somebody that was already on the libertarian path, that ignited me even more. So I came back from that experience and actually, instead of just being a regular voting libertarian member, got involved in my local county there and started up through working through the county, the state. And then after moving to Texas, I, after learning how to be a Texan out here, I got involved in the party again. Just had to, I came from California. So you always have to give a little cooling off period when you move to Texas from California, so that you don't just come in here and be a Californian idiot and learn to be a Texan first. So I did it properly, took the time, and involved in the party again, and came up through that. And through a series of things, have now become the vice chair and helping Stephen out here with keeping the party forward in a kind of tough situation, as he said there.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we talk about that tough situation just a little bit? It sounds like you guys were sort of in the room and somebody said, "Hey, who wants to?" And bang, all of a sudden, right?
Yeah, no, it was, I guess going back to it, the way that Paul and I got into these positions is quite interesting. We weren't originally planning on it when we ran for the LNC, I don't think, back in 2024. And so about a year and change, there was a situation where the prior chair resigned under a cloud of questions regarding some misappropriation of funds. And so opening had occurred for the chair's role. The vice chair had previously resigned. I guess he was an attorney. He just didn't have enough time to do both, and certain things that were going on the board just didn't jive with him. So we had a situation that I've never seen before, which was both the chair and the vice chair roles were vacated. And so we got together and we pulled straws. And I pulled the shortest straw, and Paul got the second shortest. And we ended up being the new chair and vice chair of the Libertarian National Committee. And I got to say, I'm very grateful for Paul and his hard work and dedication. He's been my right-hand man for over a year now. And even though it's been only a year, it feels like it's been a lot longer.
And he's the best fundraiser on the committee, right?
That's absolutely fact. Yep. Best.
Yeah, just talking to people and being nice to them. What do you know? People want to give money to the party again. Is all that. Treat people with respect.
Yeah, but you know what? When people meet you, Paul, they find out right away that you've got a passion for this. They can sense your heart, and you tell them. If it isn't clear, you make sure they know, and they want to be a part of it when they hear you talk. And that's really excellent. Now, I'm going to put up front, this show is brought to you by the Zero Aggression Project, zeroaggressionproject.org. So I have to say, because it's a nonprofit organization, that the views and opinions expressed here on this show tonight will not necessarily be those of the board, the staff, or the supporters of Zero Aggression Project, although they probably should be. And we will be getting into some issues here. I want to understand where you were at a year ago as a party, what your weeks were like in that early transition period. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
Well, I remember in the beginning, basically it was Operation Stop the Bleed. So we were in a situation where we had a lot of money that had come in. We were liquid due to some things the board was involved in over the election season. But our month-to-month income was not great. It was actually really bad. We were spending more than we were making. So the first thing was Operation Stop the Bleed, trying to figure out what we needed to cut, how we can raise more money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So as we were going through that process, remember having some conversations with Paul in that first couple weeks, week or two or three or four, whatever it was. We would talk constantly. And I remember him saying, hey, I was just out at this event in the Northeast. I met this gentleman, Jim Babka. I'm like, we should we'll set up a meeting, So Paul got us together with Jim, and I'll never forget, we were trying to find ways to figure out what is the next step, because in order to run a successful organization, you have to have membership, and the other side of the coin of membership is money. And so membership equals money equals growth. So we had to get new members. We had to raise money one way or the other. Right around that time, we also purchased a contract with a woman down in the Florida Keys who does consulting for organizations. So she'd come in earlier on in the term to work with the board, and then we had her come back again. We raised $8,000, put some money in, fundraised mostly off the board, and she'd also did something with staff to see what we could do better on the staff end. And so everything was a matter of looking into at every grain of sand as to what can we streamline, what can we do better operationally, what can we do better long-term wise. And when we met Jim, that's when we found the missing piece of the puzzle, which was, now I think we have an idea of where we need to go long-term, because the idea that Jim had and the connections that he brought forward seemed to be the missing piece of the puzzle for the direction that we needed to head for fundraising membership, which is.
We're gonna get into that a bit more here, and we'll get into that a bit more here in a second. Paul, tell me about the staff, because I get the impression that they very much have been in the foxhole with you guys in this transition period.
Yes, so we the staff didn't know us really well at first because we just had the chair and vice chair leave previously, so they have limited contact with the rest of the LNC, just a few professional interactions there. But we really had to dig into there. And so both Stephen and I made sure to have a sit-down talk with virtual sit-down talk with each staff member there, get to know them, know their role within the organization, and talk to them for a little bit there. We sat in on some of their staff meetings there. I normally try to make 2 or 3 staff meetings a week. I shoot for all 5, and then schedules being schedules that's where I end up at, and try to keep track of what they need and how they work and operate, because you can't really. Some people like to come in and just make changes without knowing how an organization currently operates, and you have to understand the culture of how people work and operate without doing that. I don't want to be that person that comes in and say, "Oh, do this," with no clue and just completely mess over operations there. Knowing and respecting them as individuals really, really helps for being able to know what their needs are and make sure that we get the staff working at their top efficiency.
And to piggyback on Paul's point, I think that process was really important, because even as board members, there was always some separation between the board and individual staff members. So learning what each staff member specializes in, how they operate, what the sort of command structure is within staff to get to the executive director, and how tasks are handed down. All those types of things were very helpful. And in spending time, you get to see really the bigger picture. You get to see things you wouldn't normally see. For instance, I say, if you've got a restaurant and you think something's wrong, if you go in real quick for a visit, you're not really going to know what's going right, what's going wrong. But if you spend 10 hours there, then you get to see everything, because you really get to see the little, the relationships and how people work and how they work together and stuff. And I am very proud of our staff. We've got a really excellent, very passionate staff that gets to to do this for a living. So we're very
good.
fortunate.
All right. So make the compelling case for joining the Libertarian Party, please.
The Libertarian Party is a party based on a political philosophy. We believe that the government only exists for the purpose of protecting life, liberty, and property. The Republican Party has essentially lost all of its basis as a philosophy. There really is no or very little true conservatives in the Republican Party. There's very little or no true liberals in the Democratic Party. Each party of the mainstream ones have lost their way and are essentially uniparty. The Libertarian Party is a party that's been consistent since 1971. We've been at the forefront of major issues way before they were popular, including being very radical on firearms freedom and rights, LGBTQ freedom. We've been the only consistent anti-war party in over 50 years. And I think we're paving the way to move the Overton window even further towards libertarianism. And it's very evident to me that the party, tied with the philosophy, even over the past decade or so, has grown into somewhat of a household name. So from going from a handful of folks in Colorado Springs, Colorado, in David Nolan's living room, to an international libertarian movement over the past generation and a half, I think is something very impressive and something that is worth looking into and being a part of. Because now we have politicians saying, hey, I'm a libertarian, vote for me. And you got people like Stephen Miller calling us out by name, saying those pesky libertarians, or Donald Trump and Pete Buttigieg saying, I'm a libertarian. So to be a libertarian means you value freedom for the individual, freedom for your fellow man. You believe in a government that it only exists to protect the rights of our fellow compatriots. And I think it's what makes it so special is it is a political philosophy because it's grounded in something much greater than a personality complex or partisan towing the line based on ambiguous issues that always seem to change. Republicans and Democrats always seem to change what they're actually trying to fight for, where libertarianism is very set in stone, black and white. This is what we agree on. And not only that, but if you have a country of 330 million people, it's hard to get people to agree to take away the rights of the other side or this side or that side. Eventually it'll be used against you. Mm-hmm. Whereas libertarians agree that we don't mind how you live your life. I might disagree personally, but I'll never use the state or the government to take that away from you. I'll try to convince you in other ways, or I'm willing to ignore it, or at least tolerate the way that you live your life, as long as you tolerate the way I live mine. And maybe somebody is gay or conservative or has a different point of view. We might be able to compete in the arena of ideas, but we're not willing to fight each other politically to try to change people or try to regulate people out of existence. And what makes libertarianism so interesting and so beautiful is that we stand on the backs of giants like Ludwig von Mises and Murray Rothbard and so many other scholars who've actually come up with great ideas in places where it's been put into practice. We see the fruit of that. And that's really what we want for the United States, is to turn the country around from the fiscal cliff we're on, from the forever wars, from the polarization of the American people, that we're all enemies of each other, and to at least agree on one thing, which is freedom, which made our country great, which is what we were founded on. If we can go back to our roots, is respecting freedom and respecting each other through the simple ideology, I think it's something that is worth fighting for and is what makes the Libertarian Party appealing to me. I'm sorry that's a very long answer, but
Paul, what is the issue right now where the Libertarians would make the most dramatic difference if they were leading?
We certainly wouldn't be driving up everyone's taxes and gas prices with the current wars across the world right now. So if we were leading right now, you would not see us so aggressively engage in war across the world. As I like to say, people forget war is not for building nations. It's not for doing whatever objective. War is for killing people. And People need to keep that in mind. So there's only one real party right now that is against war. The other two parties will be for war when it meets their objectives at different times. And so the Libertarian Party would not be causing the pain to, locally the pain is not, is just mostly fiscal, where across the world we have our military killing people. And so that's something I wouldn't want to have on my conscience, and something that we should not be engaging in, no matter if you think the ends justify the means. And in this time, we are very much on the moral ground of the means need to be consistent there.
There are unique challenges that I think if anybody that's listened into this far, this episode, if they were new to the Libertarian Party, they wouldn't necessarily understand. So the major parties you talked about, Stephen, you talked about the convention in Tampa. Then 4 years later, it was in Cleveland, and I went to that one. I was working in the media row there with a radio host that's a friend of mine. So I got to see kind of that firsthand and go through all the security and see how the city was locked down, just like you described. But those conventions are funded by taxpayers, like the federal and state governments, and special grants and security and everything else done by the local. They roll out the red carpet for these parties. You're about to do your convention, which we want to talk about here, and you'll put that all on at the expense of the people who attend the event. They will pay to be there as opposed to being feted and sought out. So they'll pay for that. Ballot access is another thing. You guys have to expend an extraordinary amount of money just to get candidates on the ballot, money that the Republicans and Democrats do not have to spend. This is money before you even get to the start line to participate. And then you'll have limits on contributions that will make it very, very hard. The incumbent parties sell access to power and, of course, have no trouble raising those monies. But when you are a challenger party, when you're an outsider with less or much lower odds of winning, the game of fundraising is like filling up a swimming pool with a teaspoon, right? Mm-hmm. So you guys are dealing with all this. I really like you to focus in on that a bit. I know you guys just talked to your own members about ballot access. So like give everybody kind of a picture of like what the real cost of this is, what's involved.
So we were just talking to Lars Mapstead, who has an organization, Ballots Without Barriers, who's working on getting together with secretaries of state and the legislatures to try to make ballot access easier in all 50 states. Florida has the best ballot access. The four of us can move to Florida, start a new political party tomorrow, and one of us could run for governor. Most states require signature gathering. The threshold is usually special for minor parties. So I think in Tennessee, you need something like 3% of the last gubernatorial vote to run for any partisan office. So let's say the governor or the governor got whatever 100,000 votes, or you need 3,000, but usually it's something like a multitude of 5, 10,000, something like that, where the Republican or Democrat only needs 500. So the rules are always skewed towards the minor parties needing a higher level of signatures or cash to get into an election. This really started around 94 with Ross Perot. When he ran as an independent, he scared the heck out of the Republican and Democratic parties. So they came together and said, we can't let this happen ever again. They started to really come together and focus on ballot access laws. Back in 2020, I want to say it was, the Republicans tried to sue the Libertarian Party off the ballot in Texas. The Democrats successfully sued the Green Party off the ballot in Texas. They changed the law last minute and then started to sue the minor parties. The only reason the Libertarian Party didn't get off the ballot is because the Republicans didn't sue us fast enough. So we spend an estimated, according to Mr. Mapstead and his organization, around $1 million per year when you combine man hours getting petitions. So how much are those petitions worth? Because sometimes it's volunteers, it's a combination of volunteers and paid petitioners, of which there's not that many of paid professional petitioners out there. The national party getting involved, state party candidates, et cetera. And that's just for us. And despite all these challenges, the Libertarian Party, for the majority of the last 25 years, has been the only third party to have 50 state ballot access plus DC. And Paul, if I'm double check if I'm wrong on that, but I believe we've been the only single one. The Green Party has never come close. I think they've gone around 36 to 40. I don't know if they were able to with Jill Stein back in 2012.
They did not. I don't know their exact numbers, but yeah.
Okay. So so bottom line is we've been able to do the job the best out of anybody when it comes to ballot access. But what I want the American people to understand is that there is not a true democracy in the United States. So when people talk about, well, how come the Libertarian Party isn't where, we'd like it to be? And I said, well, one aspect of that is the inordinate amount of cash that we have to spend on ballot access. When you think about all the time and energy just to run it for a partisan election, then the Republican and Democrats maintain their duopoly through essentially raising the barriers to enter into the political arena. The Commission on Presidential Debates is run by former Republican and Democrat chairs, and the CPD gives billions of dollars in in-kind contributions through the airtime that they promote across all the networks to the major party candidates. So when Americans see the Commission on Presidential Debates, they think it's some sort of public service or some sort of public debate with the only two options, and that's not the case. And it's designed that way on purpose. And it's directly a result of Ross Perot, minor parties, getting attention over the years, and that threat to the status quo. So we did try to sue them back. I think it was about a decade ago with level the playing field. And the Green Party and the FEC basically said, well, they're a private entity. They can do whatever they want, even though in order to get on to the CPD debate, you have to get 15% on specific cert polls. And the polls don't even mention the Libertarian Party. Yeah. So it's impossible, essentially. So that's what we're up against, and that's what we continue to fight.
Yeah, it came close in 2016 with Gary Johnson.
Yeah.
And that's by far the closest that it's gotten.
This show is brought to you by the Zero Aggression Project. Zap newsletter subscribers get alerts when each episode is released. The Zap website is also the pathway by which you can contact us by email and support the show. This program operates thanks to tax-deductible Zap contributions, and we appreciate your support. So, zap the state, and have a nice day.
But there needs to be a solution to this problem. There needs to be a way of getting the word out and reaching this. And so we talked a little over a year ago, as you guys both indicated, and I told you guys a story. And I'm going to tell a little bit of it, just a tiny bit of it, to the audience right now. And that is that in the late 1990s, I joined the party in 1996, and I was very inspired by one particular fundraising letter that I got after the election was over, because I was new to the party and surprised by the low turnout. We had a legendary candidate, Harry Brown, run. He was as if he walked out of central casting, one of the greatest candidates you could ever imagine. And I wanted to know why his vote total was what it was. And I got a letter. It was signed by Perry Willis. And the letter essentially changed my life because I recognized the truth of it. And he said, listen, if you look at the people that ran in 1996, Bob Dole, Ross Perot, Bill Clinton, and Harry Brown, and you looked at how much they spent per vote that they achieved, the number fell in at a spot that even if you just took their four numbers, it pretty much averaged out. And that was $8. Now, that's a long time ago, and we got super PAC money and all the rest of it. It's a lot more expensive to buy votes in 2026 and 2028 it will be than it was in 1996. But that's what it was, and he calculated out how many members we needed. And then he said, we're going to do something. They called it Project Archimedes. Archimedes says, give me a lever and a place to stand, and I'll move the world, right? Like if the lever's long enough, you can make it happen. And this was a lever. We're going to get membership first, membership second, membership third. This is going to be our focus. And if we do this, we will build up to the point that we can compete with these other two parties because we have enough people to do it. So the ballot access problem, that can get solved. Getting the poll numbers, that can get solved. The volunteers, the candidates, the money for the campaigns, all of it could be solved with enough members. And they began to grow the party. So much so that in 1999, the party achieved its high water mark for the amount of dollars raised. And I believe it's still the case to this day that number is the highest that it's ever been in not inflation adjusted dollars, but in real dollars. And the next year, when Harry ran, and we had a whole bunch of ballot qualified third parties that year, that was the peak year for third party activity. When we ran, the party reached its apex in terms of income and membership. Topped out right there at the end of this. And then it begins to go down over time, and it never comes back to that level. And about a third bigger than it was even in the late teens after the Gary Johnson campaign. This is significant and important. And when Paul said, hey, can we have a conversation? This is what we began to discuss. We discussed Perry Willis. We discussed Project Archimedes. So with that cue, what's happening now?
So it's been about a year, give or take. And Mr. Willis has joined us not only on staff, but full-time. So he is an official staff member of the Libertarian National Committee.
He just became a full-time staff member,
correct.
Right?
Yep, just very recently, as of last LNC meeting. We struck an historic partnership with a company called Ironlight, and they're a data firm. There are 700,000 registered libertarians in the United States in 33 states that have voter registration. 17 states, we don't necessarily know the number, but includes Texas. So I'd estimate the total is somewhere around 1 to 1.2 hyper-partisan libertarians in the United States. So with that 700,000, we can glean some interesting information. We know that the data states that libertarians tend to be very low in institutional trust, which is interesting for a few reasons. Number one, it tells us who our base is, but number two, it matches up really well with younger generations, because millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, as you get younger, institutional distrust increases. That's distrust. So we know who our target audience is. We have the names. The next step is a giant campaign to reach out to those people. So technology-wise, we have some great members of staff. Matt Hudson, who also does work for Mercedes-Benz and other folks. He's a guru when it comes to actually building these lists and getting it all going. Andy Bukovic, of course, with the CRM and getting the right lists to the right place. Drew Herrera. We've got a great team of young guys and gals that are doing some excellent work to essentially assist Perry in carrying out this project. So the next step is, you got your data, you've got your lists. Okay, where are you going to hit them? Facebook, Google, Meta, email, text, direct mail. Now, what are you going to say? So one of the most interesting things about Perry and the Parity project is, number one, Perry is a prolific writer. He's excellent. He's a great narrative storyteller. And he's created this story that we call the Parity Project. And what it is our vision over the next 10 years that we want to equalize with the Republicans and Democrats in terms of visibility, in terms of membership, and in terms of growth. So that's something that I've signed on to. That has been my commitment to the Libertarian Party, is to bring forward this Parity project and make this our vision over the next 10 years and pass this along to the next chair or chairs and make sure this continues to happen. But that is our goal, is to give people the ability and the hope that this is something that we can actualize, which I believe we can, because not only is the 700,000 a sleeping giant, but once we figured out who the people are as a part of this operation that really are joining the party and getting involved, not only as donors, but potentially candidates and members of the party getting involved in different facets of it. Now we can take that and we can apply that nationally to 280 million Americans and find out, where are the libertarians at? What makes a good libertarian? We have the data. We can find out information about large groups of people based on checking off certain boxes and market to those people and get them to join the party and get them to bought into this vision of being at parity, which is where we need to be if we're going to be successful. And I think this organization, we are still in the realm of potential. We have so much potential as a libertarian party. And I think it takes the right vision, the right people and the right supporters to be able to go out there and achieve that vision and get other people bought into it. And I think as the snowball starts rolling, it just gets bigger and bigger and a little bit easier as time goes on. And Paul and I have certainly done our part. I would hope to get the ball moving downhill, to bring it up to the top, and the next stage is going to be up to the next LNC to carry that forward. And
my only complaint is we've been very careful, and it's taken so long to us get to this point. I really want to see this continue on.
Yes,
that there is very, for me, I don't need that story that Perry tells. He has a very inspirational way of putting it that people that need to get emotionally invested in it. I can just see the mechanical way this is going to work and know that this is going to work for the party. That there are those registered libertarians out there that an untapped resource really for the party. The party has not been reaching out to those people, and we can
which is amazing.
Out to them. Yes,
it's amazing.
Why haven't we?
Yes,
and there's people beyond that's going to be more difficult. But once we're reaching out to them, we can build the model of how to find libertarians out in the wild that aren't registered voters. Like in Texas, we don't have party voter registration, so it'll be a tougher thing for us out here. But as you go through those people, you'll have an idea of who's out there, much like any sort of marketing, and you'll be able to bring them into our system here. Where first, Perry's done very well of bringing people in. He's already run a couple experiments there, and just telling people about libertarianism. Do you want to come be a libertarian with us? A very basic message turned out very, very well for him. And just doing the very basic message there, we got a great response. And from there, once, as far as the party, we do need money. So we'll be able to reach out to those people and ask them for helping us to continue this mission on working on this and building that. But it does show that it is very cost effective for us to reach out to those individuals out there. And we need to be doing that. And so I'm not even a regular marketing guy, but reading up on the process and reading into that, it was very much why aren't we already doing this? This is something that we should be doing and should be a core component of what we do.
And there you see how he manages to show his heart and raise money as he does it. I was a member from 1996 to 2003, and I got out. There was a lot of nonsense going on, and I also didn't like what it had made me into. I was very combative, effective but combative, and I saw that they weren't focused, and I came back because y'all did the right thing, and I'm blown away. I really am, because it's been a quarter century. It's hard to believe that nobody wanted to take what was clearly the result and go to the next level with it. They killed it, and they went 18 different directions. And I told you guys that night, I'm like, that first call, I'm like, if you're going to do this, you're going to need to be focused. Otherwise it won't work. You can't pursue a whole bunch of different strategies, which is what was happening in the early 2000s. They went from that, and they grabbed and defeat from the jaws of victory. And it's been sad to watch. But I rejoined the party because of this. And I'm going to my first convention in 26 years because I want to be there and see what's going to happen. And I would have wanted to come because you guys did have the wisdom to do the right thing here. And you were seeing the party through this difficult time. I would have wanted to come and vote for you guys for chair and vice chair, but you're not running. Why?
Well, for me, I've got my daughter. She's 4 years old. She was just running around earlier. I've got
we heard her before the show recording started. That was a lot of fun.
and I think she's at the park now with mom, so she's okay. She's having fun. But I've been in this for 10 years personally. The Libertarian Party is always going to be near and dear to my heart, and I still will be seeking a position on the board to see this forward. And I try to go where I think I'm most needed. And I've always done that. And if I see a position where I think I'm the best guy, then I'll take it. I'll go for that. I'll let my ambition get the best of me. But if I see myself not being the best man for that position. And quite frankly, I've got a lot going on with business, life, everything else. My goal for the past year is to put, as my old lacrosse coach used to say, put 100% out in the field, leave it all out there, don't have any regrets. And I hope I've come at least close to that, if not met that. And I just want to leave it all on the field and let the next guy take it. That I think there's a couple really good guys that can take up the torch from here and keep going.
You guys are positive. You guys are positive and upbeat, and you didn't take the bait when I gave it to you earlier. But I'm going to tell everybody what you wouldn't tell, and that was when you guys first started. For months, this was every night when you got home from work, despite the fact that you both have children and families. This was every weekend. This was a lot of hours. This was a second full-time job for y'all, and you showed up and did it, and you had enthusiasm the whole time for it. And I know because I've talked to some of your staff, and they've told me how you guys, through a very, very difficult hour, brought the party together. You guys are from different parts of the party, frankly, because even a small party like this has its own philosophical divisions and so forth. But you two were men of character who put the party out there and first and did the right thing. Paul, you're still planning to do something, but a little bit different from Stephen.
Yes. So I've been most recently elected to be vice chair in Texas. So I'm going to be concentrating on Texas for a while. On my shift and what I was doing. Originally, I was planning on running for at-large too, but yes, we put in those hours, and I thought I was going to be able to step back, but I've still been having to put in those hours just because of how tough some other members, unfortunately, on the board aren't very positive right now.
Okay.
For me to put it very lightly, and I'm hoping for a more positive board to come in. I'm also a big believer in having the right people on the bus together, as that old book style there. So I'm a big believer on that, and so I think Stephen is the right person to have on there, but also to be able to rotate people out. In this party, we are very good at burning people completely out, and I want that to be able to stop. I want to be able to have people that are great like Stephen still able to help and be there, but not get to the point where they're completely burnt out. And me at National, I'm feeling like I've been running so hard. I feel like I might be getting to that point. Unfortunately, just to get us to this finish line of this convention. And I don't want to be that way. There's also some other negative things that have gone on that I don't really want to go into the details on right now. But I really want to take it back to Texas, take some of the lessons that I learned here at National to Texas. I've already been talking to our chair here about some of the different things that I've learned working on staff over here and how we can improve our operations in Texas. In many ways, Texas is more similar to the National Party in size than it is many other states in size. So a lot of what we do, a lot of the things I've learned the hard way as vice chair here at National, I'm going to take back to Texas, and we're going to do some great things out here. We're going to be doing our own outreach methods out here as we're able to in different ways, and to build that up back in membership. We've had a membership drop here in Texas too, and I want to build that back up here at home and to be able to concentrate in the great state of Texas here.
You guys have gone down, and it's kind of hit a kind of a bottom, so there's nowhere to go but up, and you've now got a plan for going up. But I'm curious, as we're bringing the convention into view now, which is coming up here shortly. Before we get to that, one of the things that has to be done is the national officers have to be picked, and I'm curious, like, how can I, Jim Babka, new Libertarian Party member, have confidence that the Parity Project is going to stay a focus and that this is actually going to be seen go into its future? It's going to actually happen.
I think number one is knowing that Mr. Perry is going to be a staff member, an official staff member, should put some ease on the question whether or not the program is going to continue forward. And then certainly the next step is making sure the board buys in to it, because at the end of the day, in my experience, and I don't know if Paul would agree on this or not, but once the board makes the decision that something is a priority, they're pretty much hands off after that. And what I mean by that, and it seems counterintuitive, but let's say our number one priority is membership and growth, and it's going to be the Parity Project or whatever it is. Okay, that gets kicked over to staff Now the executive director gets to make the decision. Okay, work with the chair, work with the board, work with Perry, work with each other on actually executing the strategy or the priority, which is membership and growth. In my opinion, unless the board gets involved and thinks they have better ideas, which I don't think is going to necessarily happen, I plan on seeing this forward, and that's one of the reasons that I'm running for at-large, is to help facilitate it forward and educate the board on what we've been able to accomplish so far, what the goals are, and bring some of my knowledge from the last 10 years. It'll be 12 years by the time next term ends, assuming I'm on the board. I've talked to at least one of the chair candidates who says that they are going to keep the Parity project moving forward as a priority. And I will certainly be talking to the other chair candidates as well at some point or another, regardless of the outcomes, and making sure that we continue on with this, because I think it is so important. I think it's a matter of survival. I think it's a matter of whether or not we prosper. So it's very important to me to have this continue on.
So to me, it's such as I said, a core component of the party, what we should be doing, that it should be an essential question as our delegates are looking for selecting their future leadership here. There's other members here that are going to be running. Some of them are supporting the Parity project. They're supporting growth. They're supporting membership growth. Ask them about that and vote for those members that are truly supporting that. I know some people are almost running on a parody of saying they want to destroy the party. And please completely reject that and go for those that want to build the party and want to embrace the building we've been doing here, and get the right people on the team to do that.
And it's just barely begun, right, Paul?
Yeah, it's just barely begun.
Mm-hmm.
It's already showing positive fruits of our work there. Look at that and give it more time to do what we needed to do, and to give Perry the support to do that. We just got it going a couple months ago, and we've already grown our list quite a bit there. We haven't gotten to the point where we're growing membership, because it's kind of a two-part process. You have to first get those members into that list where we can reach to them, and then we have to get them to join and give us, currently $25 and click a membership page. But
and they're going to be looking to see how serious this is, right? Whether it's ongoing and it's going to, really turn into something. Various people will sign up at different junctures based on when they're like, oh, okay, now I think they mean it. Now I'm going to get involved. And so you have to have that repetition of being able to communicate with them. So this is going to be decided at the convention that's coming up. Where and when? Paul, where is it going to be?
It's going to be in Grand Rapids, Michigan, at the Amway Grand Plaza, and the convention center attached over there.
Davos.
Davos.
Yeah,
yes,
the Davos. Yeah.
Thank you for saving me. So the actual
it's a great facility. I've been there several times, actually.
It is beautiful there. It is a classic older facility that has been refurbished over time with the Amway Grand Plaza and attached to the Davos place there, that keeps that elegance feel from it. I really enjoy the place there as we got to tour it around. So actual business starts on the 22nd. A lot of people are going to be showing up on the 21st, where we have our welcome and all that, and everybody gets to get registered and credentialed. And then business kicks off on the 22nd there and goes all the way to just after midday on the 25th. There's a lot of, there's not only elections that need to go on, but there's internal, bylaws and platform. And then we have a thing that's also judicial committee that, that's probably completely foreign to your listeners there. There's different positions.
But what's the fun part? How are they going to have fun? I mean, they're going to be able to argue with each other, and that's a good thing. But tell me what it's like to be at the convention and what's the fun.
Well, the fun for there's going to be a lot of different styles of fun that's going to be there. Let me pull up our speakers list.
Like libertarians are going to pick their own style of fun. Okay.
Yes. If we don't give you a choice on fun, first thing I'm going to bring up is we do have you can purchase a ticket for different lunch speakers and breakfast, lunch, dinner speakers that are going to be there. It being in Grand Rapids, it might not be a surprise but Justin Amash is going to be there. He's going to be speaking there on
former congressman.
Saturday evening.
Yep.
Former Congressman Justin Amash. He's going to be speaking to us there. Then we have a highlight of lots of different interesting people out there. We have Ammon Bundy, who made the news once again recently, and I reached out to him and got.
We
him
did
on
a whole episode about Ammon Bundy. Yep.
And then Dr. Sheena Mead, Ford Fisher, Jack Bordeaux from the Libertarian Party of Canada, Joel Salatin. I always mispronounce his name.
Joel Salatin. Yeah. Okay.
Lynn Ulbrich, Scott,
whose son Ross was recently pardoned. Yeah.
Yeah, with Lynn there. Then we have getting the details of when he's speaking, but Afro Man is going to be there. So he is
Afro Man. We did an episode on him too. Good, okay. Good. All right. Stephen, where can they find this information? What is your pitch for getting to that event? Why should they make time?
First off, I would say that the participants at this convention are on the bleeding edge of the people that care the most about freedom in this country. You have a room of the most passionate liberty lovers in the United States, people that actually care, people that are community leaders and builders, candidates, supporters. It's a great time. It's always been a fun time. A lot of like-minded individuals. We're going to have vendors to check out, breakout sessions with trainings, interesting speakers, lunches, dinners, and of course, everybody loves the after parties. Check out the Grand Rapids area. We also have a gala on Sunday night and a couple other events throughout the week, such as the Torch Club on Friday night. And it's a chance to shape the party's future and have a hand in that. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. And I would encourage folks to head over to LNC2026.
Wait. I'm not sure we all heard that. What is it? What is it again?
LNC2026.com. LNC2026.com.
Good.
And yes, this is the convention that we decide the future of the party. Not to sound overly dramatic, but we can either decide to embrace and move up, or we can decide we're going to fight ourselves into the ground.
It's the most important convention in a generation, right?
Nah, never said that.
I was thinking of that and trying to avoid saying it that way, but we don't say that every convention, so it should come off that, yes, this is one of those ones, to me at least, in my lifetime in the Libertarian Party. This is one of those ones where we can decide we're either going to lift off and go with growth in the party, or we can embrace infighting and die. We've had a lot of drop off lately, and a lot of it's related to that, and some things that have gone on in the party. I don't want to get into too many of the nasty internal party politics there.
No,
but we can embrace a bright future together, and we should do that.
And people could follow your example, gentlemen, because you guys have definitely led by example in so doing, and I salute you. And I want to say, Bill, I wouldn't be involved if I didn't think there was real upside here. I really wouldn't. I know what the work is. I know how hard it is. I also know that they're right. If you come to this event, you're going to meet people that you're just going to make memories there, and you're going to really enjoy yourself. It's a special time to be around those kind of people. When Harry Brown was looking back over his runs, was it worth it? He was asked, and he said yes. And part of the thing that was worth it to him was the memories that he had made and the people that he had met along the way, the friendships and relationships that he gathered. And I definitely feel strongly about that. And it's part of the reason I'm looking forward to being there, because there are some people who have been waiting a long time for a moment where we're going to take off. And as I understand it, the stakes are high. If the party doesn't go forward, it's hard to believe this, and probably a lot of libertarians are going to doubt me, but it'll probably die. It needs to go forward, and this is the pathway to do it. With the members comes the money. With the members comes the candidate. With the members comes the people working on the campaign. With the members, you diminish the importance and size and struggle of this ballot access effort. In fact, when you get better at that, you start being able to maintain ballot access. There's rules for being able to do that, start to play in your favor. And all of it comes by starting off on the membership. So I'm going to be at this convention, which is the website for it is what again, gentlemen?
LNC2026.com. Buy your package. Hotel rooms are still available.
Do you guys still have the rates going? Because those were fantastic.
Yes,
I think they're still going.
Yeah. As long as those hotels will still keep them up, we'll have them up there because it's about half price.
Oh my gosh, it was great. It's great. It's a vintage, like classy hotel, old as Paul was describing, but like clean and nice. And when I use vintage to kind of say there's a beauty to the whole thing that's like different from any hotel you'll go to. It doesn't have that sterile, modern, institutional look. It's got character to it. And the views are great out the window, and the city is nice. It's very pleasant to walk around. Grand Rapids is a nice place to go. So, go early, stay late, and enjoy if you can. I'm going to have to book out of town in my case, but I will be there. You guys will be there. I'm looking forward to seeing you there, and I hope everyone will choose to come. And again, one more time, I've got to say, the views and opinions expressed today, well, they were largely mine. Thank you for watching.